all is not well in the Caucasus. Most people may not think of Russia and Azerbaijan when they hear about global tensions, but what's unfolding right now could reshape a region that bridges Europe and Asia and plays a key role in energy flows. Diplomatic tensions are soaring between Russia and Azerbaijan after two ethnic Azerbaijani men died during mass police arrests in Russia last week. The crisis has deepened today when Azerbaijan's ambassador was summoned to the Russian Foreign Ministry in Moscow to lodge protest over unfriendly actions of Baku, quote-unquote. Azerbaijani state TV also showed footage of detained group of Russians said to be arrested on suspicion of drug trafficking and cybercrime. The videos showing them being handcuffed, made to march in line and being bundled into police vans. This comes a day after Azerbaijani police raided the Baku office of Russia's state-funded news outlet Sputnik. In fact, Azerbaijan's Ministry of Internal Affairs has said that the Russian news outlet continued to operate via illegal financing, quote-unquote, despite having its accreditation revoked back in February. Arrests were made during the search, but officials did not specify how many were detained. The raids follow the deaths of two Azerbaijani brothers, Ziadin and Hussein Safarov, during Russian police operations last Friday. Russian law enforcement said they were targeting an ethnic criminal group linked to murders from the early 2000s. Around 50 people were arrested, all Azerbaijani-born Russian citizens. Initially, police did not acknowledge any deaths. Then on Monday, Russia's investigative committee said one of the brothers died of heart failure, while the cause of the second death is still under investigation. Relatives say autopsies will be conducted this week in Baku, but the fallout has been rather swift. Azerbaijan's foreign ministry summoned Russia's chargé d'affaires on Saturday, calling the deaths a brutal killing. And in retaliation, Azerbaijan has cancelled all Russian-linked concerts, exhibitions, festivals, describing the deaths as demonstrative, targeted and extrajudicial killings on ethnic grounds. And the government also cancelled a visit by the Russian Deputy Prime Minister and pulled out of a planned parliamentary meeting in Moscow. Officials have said it was not appropriate for any Russian representative to visit at this time. And the Kremlin says it sincerely regrets the cancellation of its cultural programs in Azerbaijan. Russia's presidential spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, described the detention of journalists in Baku as inconsistent with the spirit and nature of Russia-Azerbaijan ties. He added, Moscow hopes that this highly emotional reaction will give way to direct dialogue, quote-unquote. According to local Azerbaijani outlets, Sputnik, Azerbaijan's editor-in-chief and deputy editor, were among those arrested on Monday. And some claimed they were Russian FSB officers, though there is no official confirmation. A third Russian journalist filming the raid was also arrested. And in response, Russia's foreign ministry has summoned Azerbaijan's ambassador, calling the arrest unfriendly actions and demanding an explanation for the journalist detention. The diplomatic tension, just the latest in the relations between Moscow and Baku that have been fraught in recent months, especially after Russian air defenses shot down an Azerbaijani passenger plane over Kazakhstan last December, killing all 38 on board. The Russian president had issued a rare apology to the President Ilham Aliyev, but stopped short of taking full responsibility, saying air defense systems were responding to a Ukrainian drone strike at the time. With the diplomatic ties now under further strain, the question still is, how will this escalating rift in the Caucasus impact the fragile balance in the region? Only time will tell. In several Muslim nations, wearing burqa or niqab is almost necessary for women, for whom the veil almost becomes like second skin, until it doesn't. A norm that has been upturned by several Central Asian countries, and now Kazakhstan is the latest to join that list. Kazakhstan is prohibiting people from wearing clothing in public that obscures the face, and in the latest, the Kazakh President signed a law banning clothing that interferes with facial recognition in public places. The law mandates that such clothing will now only be allowed in certain exceptional cases, such as due to medical reasons, during adverse weather conditions, and at sporting or cultural events. And this move also reportedly comes in the backdrop of growing religious fundamentalism and security concerns in the country, thus making Kazakhstan the latest Central Asian country to restrict veils or forms of Islamic dress worn by Muslim women. Defending the ban, the authorities say that full face coverings are not historically part of Kazakh religious practice and are increasingly viewed as symbols of radicalism rather than devotion, according to them. In Kazakhstan, approximately 70% of its population following Islam. Therefore, its decision to ban both the burqa and niqab is being viewed as a secularist push to redefine national identity in a way, and one which is more modern and less religious. However, Kazakhstan is not alone to impose such a law. Early this January, a law banning the niqab took effect in Kyrgyzstan with fines of approximately $230 levied against violators. In Uzbekistan, a ban on face coverings has been in place with violators facing fines of over $250. In Tajikistan as well, clothing including Islamic veils like the niqab banned since 2023, citing it to be alien to national culture. And the list goes on. Apart from Central Asia, countries like Sri Lanka, Switzerland, among others, to outlaw burqa and niqab. In the UK as well, a call to prohibit burqas has left political camps divided, with the leader of opposition calling for bosses to be able to ban the burqa in the workplace. This, however, has sparked debates in sections on religious freedom as well as the right to choice for women to dress as they like and wear what they wish to wear. In a significant move, Germany has decided to ramp up its military presence in the Arctic. In response to escalating Russian naval activity in the region, Berlin will be deploying warships, submarines, patrol aircraft to the Arctic and North Atlantic later this year, marking a significant expansion of its defense in the region. Germany's defense minister has said that the country's navy will soon begin Arctic patrol. Speaking at a press conference in Copenhagen, Pistorius said Germany is observing a sharp rise in Russian submarine operations near the melting Arctic waters. Listen to this.
Russia is militarizing the Arctic, and we are seeing an increasing activity of Russian submarines operating in that area. As early as this year, Germany will show its presence in the North Atlantic and the Arctic.
In fact, the defense minister also said that German vessels will conduct joint exercises in Greenland. And for the first time, Germany will also join Canada's annual Arctic military exercise. Now, these statements follow growing concern, especially among the NATO countries, about Russia's assertive stance in the Arctic. Melting of ice caps in the Arctic has opened up new shipping routes and access to raw materials. And Moscow has been rapidly expanding its Arctic fleet, including icebreakers and cargo vessels. Back in March, Russian President Vladimir Putin vowed to increase Russia's military strength in the region and boost its geopolitical leverage.
I will stress, Russia has never threatened anyone in the Arctic, but we are closely monitoring the development of the situation and build an adequate line of response by means of increase of the combat capabilities of the armed forces and modernization of the military infrastructure facilities. We will not allow any infringements of our country's sovereignty and will reliably protect our national interests.
And Germany's latest moves may also be a part of a more aggressive defense overhaul. German Chancellor has suspended borrowing limits for military projects and announced a plan to raise defense spending to 5% of the GDP in line with other NATO allies. Tensions in the Arctic have been high, especially since the start of this year. US President Donald Trump, for that matter, has on multiple occasions floated the idea of acquiring Greenland, causing unease among NATO partners. Denmark's government has since then announced that it would spend around $2 billion to boost security in the Arctic region. Germany has reportedly also taken command of a new multinational naval headquarters in the northern Baltic coast. This headquarters reportedly monitors suspicious Russian maritime activity in the Baltic Sea. tying into a broader NATO effort to guard its northern flank. The Arctic is emerging as a new theatre for global power, it seems. Rich in untapped oil, natural gas, marine resources, the region could hold as much as 20% of the world's oil and natural gas. So, with ice melting and shipping routes opening up, countries are now racing to stake their claims. For now, shifting focus, Europe is boiling, and this is just the beginning, it seems. Spain sizzled at 44 degrees Celsius, France baking under the scorching sun, Portugal choking, and in Turkey, flames are raging across forests, taking in just about everything in their path. The continent is on fire, and the worst may be ahead. Take a look.
Europe is no longer merely warming, it's burning. In Spain and Portugal, thermometers have soared past 40 degrees Celsius, shattering records. Seville, a city usually renowned for its vibrant warmth, has become a furnace, with areas in southern Spain hitting a staggering 46 degrees Celsius, the hottest June on record. A record number of heat alerts are in place across France. 16 regions across the country, including Paris, have been placed on red alert, while 68 others are on orange alert.
It hasn't been too difficult, but today is the hottest day. We have portable fans, water, just staying in the shade, walking on the sidewalk on the shade, and yeah, ice cream.
Well, we find the weather extremely hot, so we're drinking a lot of water, and we think the city is beautiful, and we're very lucky to be in France and Paris.
Life isn't much better for Britons baking in the sun. Much of England will enter a fifth day of a heat wave, forecast to be hotter than holiday spots in Barbados, Jamaica and Mexico.
Well, it feels pretty warm and feeling a little bit melting, especially on the sunshine. And yeah, that's why I have this little fan with me.
Wimbledon saw its hottest opening day on record, with players and spectators having a tough time keeping themselves cool.
Well, it's quite tough. We got here about 9:30 and we've been out in the sun, but we've sort of come equipped with all the usual things like umbrellas and bubbly and all the important things to keep yourself hydrated.
Across the Aegean, Turkey battles its own horrific blazes. Forest fires have raged fiercely in Izmir and Hatay provinces, forcing the evacuation of over 50,000 people from 5 regions. Scientists are sounding the alarm. These aren't isolated incidents, but symptoms of a deepening planetary sickness. Experts warn that these record-breaking heat waves are becoming the new normal and are projected to get even hotter. This relentless heat fuels unprecedented wildfires, shatters agricultural output, strains power grids, and poses a direct lethal threat to human health. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And Russia has carried out a series of drills in the Sea of Japan, targeting mock enemy ships as part of a large-scale naval exercise. According to reports, Russian warships and coastal missile systems struck targets with cruise missiles. The strikes reportedly hit all designated targets, simulating a hostile naval presence. The fleet's flagship missile cruiser, Varyag, launched a live Vulcan anti-ship missile, while 2 strike groups aboard missile boats fired a total of 4 cruise missiles. Additionally, a combat crew also launched an anti-ship missile. Russian authorities had temporarily shut down the surrounding airspace and waters to civilian activity before the launches started, and this latest drill adds to a string of military operations in the region. Just in April, Russia tested submarine-launched missiles in the Sea of Japan. And in late March, Moscow deployed 3,000 troops for exercises on disputed islands claimed by both Russia as well as Japan. That territorial standoff dating back to World War II remains unresolved, Moscow took control of those islands at the end of the war, and the dispute has blocked any formal peace agreement between the two sides for nearly 8 decades now.